What's the biggest area of aspect of your philosophy they get pushback with? Which part of it?
Oh, if there were no government monopoly on police, you would be raped and murdered immediately.
And what do you think about that?
Why don't I have a gun? Why can't I hire a bodyguard? Why can't I get a security system? It's a very bizarre. And if someone's coming to break in my house right now, the cops aren't going to do anything anyway. How am I getting to the phone? So it's a very weird scenario they construct, because the argument is apparently under an anarchist system, all combat is one-on-one and weapons don't exist.
Got it. So for what you believe in, you don't believe in defunding the police. You just believe we don't need cops, right?
Well, we don't need a government monopoly on cops. You certainly need security. But in the same way that if the government didn't produce clothing, we wouldn't all be naked. If you didn't have a monopoly, and any monopoly, if you have a monopoly on a product, it's always going to be delivered inefficiently, poorly, and almost inevitably at the cost of human life. Whereas if you had choice and if you had options, you would have innovation and you would have solutions, instead of having a system where the problems are perpetuated for the sake of those in power.
So if you have an anarchy, you don't have a government that has a monopoly on cops, right? Which means they control that. But if you have an anarchy, in an anarchy, what does the government look like? How limited is it? Or is it not?
There's no government. That's what anarchy is. Yeah.
Okay. So if there's no government and everybody is running under, give me an example of when that worked effectively, anarchy.
When you returned a sweater to the department store.
When you returned a sweater to the department store.
Yes, you had a conflict.
Yeah.
Neither of you is in a position of authority over one another. And the conflict was resolved amicably and peacefully in seconds. Now, if I'm involving the government and there's a conflict, I have to pay a lawyer, which is exorbitant, going to cost more than a surgeon, and the outcome will be uncertain, but what we're certain of, it's going to take a very long time. So that is one difference between how the market and freedom solves for disputes, as opposed to having it go through the state.
I guess what I'm asking is, give me a country that had a system of anarchy that did very well for, a handful of decades.
First of all, you're not going to have an anarchist country by definition.
Right.
Second of all, I can give you several examples like medieval Iceland and medieval Ireland, which had it for 1,000 years, far longer than the Constitution. I don't think that's a valid question for several reasons. One is, just because it worked in Iceland and Ireland doesn't mean it's going to work in 2021. And just because it hasn't happened anywhere previously doesn't mean it's going to be working in 2021 either. One example of this is the internet, right? Before the internet, if you sat down and posited the internet, it would sound, maybe if not crazy, certainly hard to wrap your head around. We would have no idea what websites would look like. But at the same time, this is something that ended up happening, has now become a universal function of human life. So anarchism isn't a location, it's a relationship. And it simply means that that none of the parties claims authority or has authority over one another. So every country on earth right now is in a state of anarchy toward one another.
So if you like this little short clip from an interview I did, click over here to watch the entire interview. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.